Welcome to this video on how to import the FIlr appliances into your hypervisor. Depending on your hypervisor, this will be slightly different. I'm going to be using VMware Workstation here, but you can obviously be using Hyper-V, Zen, Citrix Zen. Here I'm just going to import the file. In this case it's the FIlr web appliance that I'm importing, but the process will be much the same with any of the appliances that you're bringing in. And I'll just be prompted for what I want to call this, and we'll store it in the default location, and then I'll just do import. So once the file's been imported, there are a few things we have to do before we actually power it up. So we need to add 2 additional disks. These are going to be for the data storage. So on that disk, depending on what appliance it is, it will have personal storage, it will have database, it will have the search index on, and indeed if you're doing a single server install, then it will have all 3 of those on. So having imported that, just check the memory is correct for your implementation. Check the network adapter is the correct adapter for the network that you want to put this on. In this case, I want to put that on VMnet 0. And then the 2 important things are adding those 2 additional disks that I was talking about. The first one being the data disk, and then the second is actually a log disk there. So let's just add in a disk. I'll keep that at SCSI. It's going to be a new disk. As far as the size of the disk is concerned, have a look at the design principles for that. It depends on typically how big the database is going to be, if this is storing that, how big the search index is going to be, and indeed if you're going to be using this for personal storage, if this is a FIlr web appliance. So take those into account. If you're not too sure how big it should be, then typically I would aim to go a little bit higher than you're anticipating, and then just do this as being thin provisioned rather than thick provisioning the disk. So in this case I'll set that at 200. Let's just call this FIlr disk 2. Disk 1 of course is going to be the boot disk that it came with, and then we need to add an additional disk. This is going to be used for logging, so we'll do exactly the same as before. I'll create that as a new virtual disk, and we'll leave that at 20 gig for log space, and then this time around I'm going to call that FIlr disk 3 and finish. So having done that, that is our appliance all ready to boot for the first time.